Hello and welcome back. Today we're building the Mercedes Sauber C9, the Le Mans winning car from 1989 in 1/43rd scale by Heller. Now as you can see, it's quite a simple kit, most of the parts on this same sprue. A little bit of sanding away to do before painting it. Mould seams are fairly minimal, but there's a little bit of flash in places, so get to that with your clippers or your sanding stick. The window will fit inside, so you need that to be nice and smooth. And there's also these panels which need to go on here, on the side of the car, so I'm just sanding that smooth as well. I found that there was a little bit of a warping to this one, so tried to sort of straighten it out. So before painting, I added those side panels. Make sure you get them the right way round. Just using a little bit of Tamiya Extra Thin here to attach those. You can see it's got some details like the vents and the exhaust pipes on the side. Obviously you could drill those open if you really wanted to, but I'll just be painting them later on. There's also these circular vents in the front, so I am going to drill these open. So firstly use these pointed file to open it up. There you are, you can see where those go. They do come with round decals to go over those, but I think it looks more realistic like this. Drill them open and then use the rounded file again just to make it a bit wider and smoother. There we are. I then primed the body using some Tamiya light grey and then used this gloss aluminium. This is the same colour that Tamiya recommend using on their 1/24th scale version of this car, so I felt that it was the right one to do for this scale as well. The interior is made up of one large part which goes onto the floor like so. Once I clipped these together, I then painted them black and then added some aluminium details for bits of the interior that are metal. I also did the seat in a matte black and picked out the seat belts in blue. I used Revell acrylics for most of the brushwork, and then I used a small amount of aluminium or silver, can't remember what, on a cocktail stick just to pick out the seatbelt buckles. Now the tyres were a little bit dirty, so I gave them a bit of a clean. Don't know why, but they came out fine afterwards. Painted all of the wheels in a sort of mixture of metallic black and matte black to create a kind of semi-gloss, almost sort of carbon fibre colour. And then thought these looked pretty good afterwards. Slightly wider tyres for the back wheels. And then you want to attach them onto the axles. The rear tyres actually have the shorter axle as the tyres are wider. Make sure you get those the right way round. It's a good idea to do this before adding the decals, as if you add those decals onto the side, these ones being Michelin, you might rub them off accidentally. So using a paint pot just to hammer those into place. There we are, wheels attached. Good idea to do this before adding the body of the car. There it is, just to see how it looks so far. That goes into place without the need for any glue. But next it's time to add those decals. Now these ones, they looked in pretty poor condition, but they actually worked out fine. Just used a bit of Mr. Mark Setter to help them adhere, and a little bit of Mark Softer in places where they needed to curve around. Now these ones on the front, as you can see, have a little circular decal for the vents, but as I drilled those into place I didn't need to do those, so cut them off. And this only comes with number 63, which was the race winning car. They also used numbers 62 and 61 in the race, and each car had different coloured wing mirrors, so if you do want to change, make sure you look to see what colour they should be using. There we are, positioning those. Mercedes badge, you need to get that right in the middle of the bonnet. And then you've got these little Group C decals which go just behind the door latches. Again, using a damp cotton bud is really useful to push these down, make sure that they adhere nicely. If you do have the Tamiya 1/24th scale version, or even just the box, or find the pictures online, it's actually a really good reference point for these decals. Found that the Heller instructions are a little bit basic. Now this ST decal here goes on the rear wing, which I'd painted in a carbon fibre-esque mix of metallic black and matte black. Unfortunately, the Mercedes Benz writing should really be in white rather than silver. I think on the real one you can pick it out much more clearly. End plates were done in aluminium, and the AEG decal goes onto those. After letting the decals settle for a day, I used some Tamiya LP9 lacquer clear gloss, mixed about 50-50 with their thinners, to give a nice clear coat over the whole body and the tail. Also used this silver Posca paint pen to pick out the centre locking wheel nuts. As I said before, take care with these decals. A bit of setting solution really helps, as they don't always stick that well to the rubber parts. Then needed to paint this part here. I used some anthracite grey, which has a sort of matte finish. Needed to do a couple of coats with that, and then used some matte black for these vents at the side and around the outside of these exhaust pipes. Remember to rub clean any mistakes whilst it's still wet. Picked out some of the vents using this Gundam marker. This is a fine black marker pen, which is pretty good for panel lines and that sort of thing. However, in places I used some Tamiya black panel line accent instead. Now, one mistake with the car is that this section here behind the rear lights needs to be entirely yellow rather than just yellow around the edge of the circle. If I'd realised this earlier, I would have obviously done this earlier, but I just used some Tamiya lemon yellow for this. To be honest, it's probably more of a high vis, but never mind. I think I did a neat enough job anyway. I used this hole punch to get these little circles of aluminium tape to be the headlights. I felt that the white circular decals that came with the kit didn't look quite right. Then added a little orange indicator light on either side using this Sharpie, before then adding the lenses over the top. I superglued the rear wing just to make it as secure as possible. and that slots here. Found that it was at a slight angle, which didn't look quite right, but couldn't work out how to fix it. And those back circles that were for the vents on the front, I ended up using for the fuel caps on the side. Seemed like a good alternative position for them. Steering wheel done in black, goes under here. These kits are pretty simple, but I quite like making them as they're a nice quick job, something you can really use to get your mojo going for those bigger 1/20th and 1/24th scale builds. Use a little bit of PVA for these windows. Didn't want to use anything stronger which might damage the paint or the clear parts. You can see I've added a bit of kind of strut work at the back with some silver paint pen. And there we are. Still got some decals to go around the windows. So you've got this kind of lower section here, kind of black that goes on top of the window. So you want to be very, very careful with this. And things like decal softening solution, very useful here because this needs to go over the kind of join between the window and the bodywork. So take care with this. You could mask this off and paint it if you wanted to, but I just find that these decals are a little bit more accurate personally. And then once that is well and truly in place, you've then got this little sun strip which does say Mercedes Benz across it. And then you've got this little window opening on the side so that the driver can speak to people outside. Nearly there, just final piece to add are the wing mirrors, which are painted yellow, with little black struts. Now the openings weren't quite wide enough, and I probably should have done this earlier, so this is a good idea to test fit this sooner rather than later. I used a small amount of super glue to attach those, and there we are, it's finished. Let me know what you think. Have you built one of these? Have you built any of the other of the 1/43rd Heller Le Mans cars? I might put this into a frame just like I've done with Formula 1 cars before. Maybe I'll do a little montage of a few different Group C winners from the late 80s and early 90s. Thanks very much for watching. Please do hit the like button, leave a comment down below. It really helps me and the channel. And I'll see you for the next one. Thanks very much. I'll see you soon.